Sub-interface concept, or what we have seen, whenever you want to do inter-VLAN routing, we generally use, if you want to route the traffic from the VLAN 10 to VLAN 20, we can go with a router, and that router can have multiple sub-interfaces. And then you can see, this will act as a gateway for this VLAN, and this will act as a gateway for this VLAN. And then the user of the VLAN 10 can communicate with the VLAN 20 as well. Now, again, you can still use this for inter-VLAN routing. That's something more applicable. But again, as I said, you have a better option or a better method with SVIs. So for inter-VLAN routing, that is a third method, which we'll be covering next. But again, most of the time you might be thinking, okay, if you have a better method, then why we need to learn all these things? So the first method, which I covered, that's something to understand the concepts, normally not used. The second method, the one which we use is sub-interfaces. This is something, kind of not used in inter-VLAN routing as per the today's scenarios, because mostly we use L3 switches, which I'll explain this in the next. But still you will find this scenarios mostly used in the WAN connections, router to router connections. Okay, router to router WAN connections. So for that, I have a small diagram here, which is going to simulate and a service provider. Let's take an example, a service provider, or it can be anything, it can be a normal connections, even a service provider. Generally, a service provider might be connecting a router, and this router and is connecting to many customer sites. Let's say we have a broadband connection or whatever the connections. You connect from the service provider. Now, typically the service provider is going to connect to hundreds of customers. Now, you can take hundreds of customers. Okay, so it can be hundreds of customers, especially if you take some MPLS links or point-to-point PPPoE links, broadband connections. There are different types of WAN technologies you will see when you get into the advanced routing concepts. But whatever the case, you're going to learn sub-interfaces here. Now, practically, if you just take this example, we have 5 different customer sites using 5 different routers. And if I want the service provider connecting to 5 different customers, you need to have 5 dedicated interfaces. Now, if you take, you have hundreds of customers, which means practically you need to have 100 interfaces. So which is really not a scalable solution in most cases. And even you might come across this kind of scenarios in your normal networks as well. Okay, because the routers have limitations on the interfaces. They will not have hundreds of interfaces. Now, in that scenarios, what we can do is we can just go with one interface. Physically, it is going to be one interface. Let's say gig 1 interface. Generally, it will be like gig 1 by 0 by 0 something. The slot numbering also will be there. Now, what we are doing is we can use one physical interface. It will be no shutdown, same like what we did. And then on the router, we can create multiple logical sub-interfaces where each sub-interface will be a member of a separate VLAN. And then typically these ports which are facing towards the customer will be in the VLAN 10, VLAN 20, VLAN 30. Means typically this will be the access ports, just like the PCs. You can compare the PC side, just like the PCs. So you have the connections here, and then we have the access ports, just like we provide the configurations. Let's say in my case, this particular port, let's say interface F0 by 1, we give the same command, switch port mode access, just like we did on the PCs. And then we say switch port access VLAN 10. Okay. And then you have the IP address here, just like we have the IP address on the PC side. And typically on the opposite side, we use this link as a trunk link. And why we need a trunk link? Because remember, when you create sub-interfaces on the router, the opposite link will be always a trunk link. It has to be trunk, because now the VLAN 10 traffic, VLAN 20 traffic, VLAN 30 traffic, VLAN 40 and VLAN 50, all the VLANs received on this link. So it is going to process multiple VLAN traffic. But again, there should be a logical separation. Of course, there is a tagging process. We know that. And based on that, it will ensure that it will go only to that particular sub-interface, depending upon from where they are coming. Because we are going to map that on the router side. Okay, so that's how it's going to be. So you will still see these setups of sub-interfaces. That's the reason you must know this concept. At the same time, you should try to correlate this concept either in the form of an inter-VLAN routing lab, which we did just now, or it can be on the WAN connections. So if you want to just try and simulate the WAN connections, you can just try one lab where I can just go with the same setup. This will act as a service portal. And what I'll do is I'll try to add some routers. Just a quick lab, you can do it. Add one router here, one router here for simulating the WAN connections. But don't worry, you will actually see more on the WAN connections when you actually go to the routing part. But just to understand, what I can do is I'll try to connect a straight cable from gig interface going to F0 by 10. Okay, I'll connect this on port number 10. And this one, I'm going to connect this G0 by 0 interface on port number 11. Okay, just try to remember port number 10 and port number 11. So as per my topology, so I got the router. I'll just take the routers, okay? I'm not going to use the So I'll be using this setup. I'll give the names as simple as a router 1 as a service portal. And then we got a router 2 or router 10, router 20 in the VLAN 10 and the VLAN 20, okay? And I'm connecting port number 10 here, port number 11 here. And already there is a port number 20, which is already as a trunk port, okay? We don't need to do it again. It's already there. I'm not going to build a separate configuration. So if I just quickly verify my configurations on the switch side is already done. So the only thing I need to ensure that port number 20 is a trunk port, which is trunk port here, this one. Likewise, I have to assign port number 10. Remember, port number 10, just now I have added, it should be in the VLAN 10. And port number 11 should be in the VLAN 20, right? Done. So port number 10 is connecting to the router 10 and router 20. Assume that they are the customer side, okay? Two different customers, just for testing purpose, a separate point-to-point connections. Again, routing and all you will see in the routing section. I'm not getting into the routing part, okay? Now, the next thing, we did the access ports. So we configured this in the VLAN 10 and we configured this in the VLAN 20. And this port is a trunk port. Now what else? Now on the router, we need to have sub-interfaces. So I need to have sub-interface. Already I have two sub-interfaces, if you remember, and we already have 192.168.1.100, 192.168.2.100. So I can still use them because anyway, as a part of my lab on the router side, I'm not using a separate VLAN. So I'm just keeping them in the same VLAN. So I can still use these sub-interfaces as a part of my connection because I'm using the VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. Now on the opposite side, we have the PC. Remember PC1, PC2, 1.1, 1.2. I will assign this IP 1.10, okay? 1.10, 2.10. So on the router side, what we'll do, we'll just go to this router in the VLAN 10. This is just for you to understand how you correlate the things in the live networks. Because practically, as I said, you don't use much of this in the LAN. But this concept is still applicable in the WAN. That's what we are trying to do here. So what I'll do is I'll say interface, I'll change the host name as a router 10, or I'll say router 10 customer 1. Okay. And then I'm going to simply go to the interface and assign the IP. That's it. Very simple. On the same subnet, remember, it has to be on the same subnet. You cannot use different subnets. Done. Now, if I see on the customer side, I have this IP 192.168.1.10, and I should be able to reach out to my gateway. What is my gateway? 1.100. If everything is perfect, I should be able to ping. That's what I'm expecting here. It just takes some time for this link to turn green. And why it is in amber color, don't worry, we'll discuss in the spanning tree in the next sections. Probably I just need to wait for this to turn green. And once it is green, I should be able to reach out if everything is correctly configured. You can see I'm able to reach out. Now, likewise, if you want to finish the configurations on the other side of the router, just for a quick one more router, this is the router 2 or the right side router, which I have added. We'll give this host name as router 20, which is going to be the customer 2. And then connecting the interface G0 by 0. What is the IP address? 192.168.2.10. Now remember, they have to be in the same subnet. Now here the IP addressing plays an important role. You have to know the rules of the IP addressing, what to give. Okay. So in the routing section anyway, we'll try to deep dive into the routing concepts with IP addressing rules. As of now, you can see my IP address is 192 show IP interface brief. And if you try to ping to gateway, my gateway is 2.100, which is the ISP router, right? I must be getting a reply, but we need to wait for this link to turn to green. It's already green. I'm expecting the ping should start. Okay. Now, likewise, you can also ping to the other side as well. Other side is 1.10, right? I'm trying to ping from this router. It is going to here, and the end-to-end communication is not going to work. Because of the behavior, we have to do routing. Okay, because these are not PCs. They actually check the routing table and do that. That's something we'll try to see more in detail when we go to the routing sections. But as of now, if you're able to ping to the same subnet, that should work. Okay, so don't worry about end-to-end communication. So these two should ping and these two should ping. Anyway, these two will not ping, and the reason is you have to do routing, which you'll actually see in the routing sections, where you enable some routing protocol like OSPF or static routing, which is something we'll see in our next coming sections in the routing part.